Yo, what's up? My name is Max Got the Tracks, and today I'm gonna show you how to play a very old deck, Gangplank Sejuani. I'm gonna have some gameplay for you. I'm gonna play it pretty poorly, so you don't have to. I haven't played this deck in quite a long time. This is a new version that the legend Sudrakon, a Brazilian player, recently piloted to a 75% win rate to hit the first page of Masters. So I picked it up. I was like, sure, I'll try this deck. It ended up going pretty well. I went like 3-1 in my first 4 games. So I figured I would show you the wins and tell you a little bit about the deck and how to play it. So without further ado, let's get into the games, and I hope you enjoy. So here we're playing against my friend Furious Poro Bear. I think I'm around like less than 50 LP at this point. So we're playing like low masters against a Nami Nora deck. And Nami Nora is one where we know they're going to have a very strong late game, but we can get pretty aggressive, so I mulligan accordingly. It's also the things we need to watch out for are like mini morph and stuff like that. So yeah, the whole strategy of this deck Plunder is that you want to activate Gangplank and Sejuani's level up conditions because they have the same level up conditions, which is just hit your enemy's Nexus on 5 unique turns. So to start, we get some Shellies down, and Shelly may seem like a weird inclusion in this deck, but the whole point of it is now that we have super strong bilge water removal and pressure tools like Riptide Sermon, we can actually bank that spell mana and do some really nice combos. And we've seen it played a little bit in Pirates and experimented with in Scouts as well for that same reason. And now we're just seeing it applied to the Plunder as well. So we get relatively aggressive, swing in with our Yordle Grifter. Part of Plunder is that we just, enjoy using Plunder cards like Grifter and just stealing their cards, which is always fun and leads to some shenanigans, which we will definitely see in the next couple matches. Here they slam Nami, and we're super happy to just Riptide Sermon that. I don't even believe they have an answer to this one, so already we're off to a great start. They maybe play one spell. Yeah, they just do Eye of Nagakaboros and summon some units there. Tentacles are great. They're all over the meta. Unfortunately, Alawi is not, but you can't get everything you want. Here, we're going to see the warning shot and GP level just like that. Wasn't really much to be said about this game. We took it pretty easy. We played some Make It Rain. We played some warning shots, and we leveled GP relatively easily. So first game that I played this deck, I was like, this is going pretty well. Maybe too well. I definitely considered using that prank before combat because I was trying to avoid the mini morph, but I did not do it. I mean, before slamming GP, and then here we swing with everything. Obviously, Nami's not gonna be quite enough with just 4 mana in Bandle City to make us not want to swing in here. So they swindle, which is a weird inclusion into this list, I believe, but we're not questioning it. We're just trying to beat them. They do end up keeping their Nami back and making it so our GP will die if we accept this, but it also puts them down to 3 health. So I'm pretty sure I can just ping them down with random shenanigans if they only have 3 health. But I think in retrospect, doing the Make It Rain there would have been a lot better because it would have given us the barrel next turn, and we could have just warning shotted them with this Yordle Grifter, assuming they didn't open attack the barrel. So I think I should have made it rain at that moment instead of banking that 2 spell mana, but nonetheless, we're feeling pretty good about this game. They just drop a Shelly, they prank us a little bit, and they can see we have 2 damage already. We slam down a Concologist, we slam down a Concologist and get nothing that can damage them, but we do have a Yabin Warned, which is like, no, it doesn't really help us. Instead, we take the 3 Sisters, and we're getting low-key scared because we do see they have 3 Elusives and a board that can block our board, along with the Shelly and Nami. So it's like, dang, that's a lot of damage, low-key, but I'm pretty confident that I'm still going to be able to find the win here. They swing in with a Mage Seeker Conservator, so just to make sure my Make It Rain odds are pretty good to hit the Nexus, I block that with the Grifter and give them the spell, because the odds the spell actually beats me are pretty low. And then you're going to see we open attack. If they let any of these hits hit, we win, and then we Make It Rain. And we're like, cool, that hits the Nexus, so we're in good shape, and we can just warning shot, Yordle Grifter, warning shot, win the game. And I believe that is how it goes down because we do not miss Allegiance because we're good players. It may seem weird to run an Allegiance deck in 2022, but we only play like the 3 Sejuanis and a couple 3 Sisters, so there's really not much of a risk As you can see, I don't think I missed the Yordle Grifter once, and I played a bunch of times in these games that I will show you. So that was the first one, went really smoothly. I believe I lost the second one just because I was like misplaying horribly all over the place, so it's not worth showing you. And here we're against Nameless XXXXXXXXXXXX, playing some weird Viego Kindred Nasus. I've seen a couple of these floating around by some good players, and I mulligan. So a super important thing with this mulligan is just planning out how you're going to get your Plunder procs. Here we see that we're attacking on evens, and we have the Grifter and the Mirai Warden, so that cleans up those, and I figure I'll just draw into the other ones, which is pretty fine for me. They end up blocking a lot here and hate spiking into my I forget what that card is called, but nonetheless, we don't even get the Plunder proc on one, so already we're feeling a little bit behind. I'm like, cool, I'll just make it rain here, get the proc. They end up Glimpse Beyonding, which, you know, I probably should have slammed the Warden first, but I also consider Black Market Merchanting here, and I think I decide to Mirai Warden because the Black Market Merchant is going to be able to be slammed next turn anyways after we swing wide, assuming they do not do something like a Withering Wail, which, you know, the odds they play that are super low because it seems like a relatively aggressive deck. So yeah, we play our Merchant and get a Hydravine, and we're like, oh, maybe that'll be useful. It's kind of funny. And they just play another couple chump blockers, Glimpse Beyond one of them. Clearly their hand was super bricked, and we are able to just get them down to 11 before turn 5, so it's really good. Here I believe we just slam a Yordle Grifter to get the Plunder proc, and then yeah, we're chilling. I mean, we have a super wide board here. We have a Quietus for that 0-1 if we might want to use it or not, and it ends up dying because they use a Darken Halberd on it, so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It doesn't really affect this game, to be honest, because in my eyes we're already like way too wide for them to even catch up, so I'm just trying to make sure, like, okay, I'll just Warning Shot to activate the procs of those two, and they swing in with that. I'm like, sure, I really have no reason not to block here, just like make sure all my bases are covered and I'm not throwing this game to any random shenanigans. They Vile Feast. I believe I should have Quietus there, but it's okay. We take the Sejuani, slam it down, and try to drag out the Viego, and then we swing with everything and leave them with a couple health. We could have even been more aggressive and done Spiderling, but yeah, they Vengeance that, and we put them down to 5 health, which, you know, we're feeling pretty fine about. And then we can just Quietus their Viego, so that's like one instance where like stealing their cards is just like game winning, because, you know, we froze them and then we Quietus them, and we should have never even had that card, but, you know, it works out really nicely. Here I'm trying to decide, like, do I just like play the Hydravine next turn? But instead I think I'm like, it probably just makes the most sense to honestly activate the Plunder on our open, so we're just gonna play the Yordle Grifter next. They're taking a while and they slam Nasus, so to answer that, I think the most logical thing to do is just, yeah, activate the Grifter. Like I said, we can just freeze the Nasus on our open even through the Spell Shield. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to skip this? Considering I just took one of their atrocities, the odds they have a second one is super low. But instead, I'm like, wait, I can actually use that atrocity because it got discounted to 6, just like old times. So I slam the atrocity to their face and deny their Nasus level, and I can just like drop Sejuani next turn and freeze the Nasus. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is like guaranteed lethal no matter what they do. So yeah, here I'm fairly certain is where they concede. Oh, also this activates my Plunder without using Warning Shot, which is disgusting, and that wins us the game. So yeah, we stole their Quietus and their atrocity, which, you know, is pretty disgusting. And for our third and final game, we have a Viego Evelyn. So yeah, lots of Shadow Isles on the ladder today, and we're gonna see those Piltover Castaways. We don't really want those because we're not attacking on 3. Those are definitely more useful for when we're swinging in with them, because they have that extra spell mana. Riptide Sermon could be really good against Viego or Evelyn, and I think we're gonna see that be the case. And it's also just like a great card that we can use on our opponent's turn to activate the Plunder, so I'm pretty sure I want to keep that. I'm not certain that was an optimal mulligan, but we got the Shell Shocker on 1, so I'm pretty happy to play that down immediately and just swing in with it. Get 2 Yordle Grifters, which I'm like, that's a little clunky, but I'm not too pressed. They drop a Solter, and get Overwhelm Husk, which, you know, doesn't bother me too much. It gives the Domination an extra health though, so where I'm like, I mean, I think Make It Rain will be fine. We hit really good targets with the Make It Rain, thankfully, to activate our Black Market Merchant, which is great. So yeah, they don't even end up swinging at all, which, like, I was kind of confused why they didn't swing with the 1-3, but I'm not complaining. We steal yet another Quietus, which I'm like, that is just hilarious. They Quietus our merchant. So at this point, I don't think they're expecting ours at any point in the game. We still have Vile Feast with that Grifter. I'm like, that's low-key beautiful. We can use that or just save it for another time. I swing in with my Grifter just to see if they'll bite and let me hit them, but they block with the 1-3, which, you know, was kind of expected. At this point, I'm like, maybe I should have gone wide with the Vile Feast, which I'm also not sure about. But, you know, either way, I feel pretty good about how this game is going, considering we can just slam another Grifter next turn. And we've already done a little bit of chump damage, and they have no champions going at this point that can avoid my Riptide Sermon quite yet. So you can see I'm counting down, trying to decide, like, do I file? But I don't file. I don't end up doing it. So that's fine. Next turn, I think they just, like, slam Viego or Evelyn or something, and I have to answer. They're playing a little bit slow. You can see I'm getting a little antsy. Round 5 begins, and I have the Piltover and Castaway. So yeah, they slam Evelyn, and I'm like, oy, okay, that's a big Evelyn. She is one of the, like, biggest tempo swing cards for a 4-drop champion. It's, like, pretty insane, you know, the amount of power that she just puts in. You see, I try to Vile Feast there, but they hate Spike, so I'm like, I kind of played into that. So maybe don't be as presumptuous as I was with the hate Spike. But here, I can't even Riptide Sermon, but I do get a Black Spear. I'm like, that is low-key beautiful. I'm thinking I can Quietus Evelyn at some point, maybe next turn, since she transforms back into her regular form. But she still has 2 health. So I'm like, might as well try. You know, it's 1 mana to at least make them play more spells. And I don't have, like, Sejuani to activate it in a more guaranteed way. But again, they do a second hate Spike. Couldn't really play around that. No big deal. They do get Spell Shield onto their Evelyn, though. And I'm like, that's kind of gross. Along with 3 Husks, I'm not really enjoying what's going on at the moment. But you can see I'm trying to figure out how to get to my Plunder. I think I definitely shouldn't have hyper focused on that, considering I didn't even have a champion in my hand at the time, and I don't think I draw a champion for like another turn or 2. You see the Black Spear there kill my merchant, which I think was definitely an overreaction, but I get how it can be tilting to see your opponent steal your cards, so I understand how that play could have been made. I get the Piltover and Castaway. You know, they've already played Vile Feast, and I don't swing there because I'm like, Evelyn is just gonna block it and be fine because she has Spell Shield. So yeah, there they get a huge Bark Beast. You see Einar emote to show that that Bark Beast just got wholly unleashed. Jesus Christ, I think that might be a decent Riptide Sermon target. I blocked both of these. I realized the Castaway is definitely the wrong block, but nonetheless, we go in there. And here, I'm trying to play around Evelyn's Last Caress. You can see I hover it, and I'm like, it's not really ideal for me. I send a Black Spear to the Bark Beast. And here, that definitely could have been the Riptide Sermon, but I wanted to play the one that was more conditional for whatever reason and save the Riptide Sermon for another threat down the line. And I just decided to slam Dreadway because I'm like, fuck it, I could just slap the Fisher Whack onto it and do a shitload of damage, and that forces out a Vengeance, which is great because now I have my GP, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, I could even put Fisher Whack on my Cameroon, because then if they swing in, if I swing in, then I can do the parlay on her. So this is great because it can't get countered by the Evelyn's Last Crest because there's like nothing to play. And they end up having that second Evelyn, so here I'm feeling like super giga brained for playing around it, even though I did it in a very clunky way. And I slammed my GP. I'm like, cool, this feels pretty good. We have a Fisher Whack, which I'm like, I guess I could just give extra power to GP, but instead they're like, nah, your GP's dead, fam. And I'm like, oh damn, okay, shit, Riven emote, let's go. I guess it's game on. And I stopped deck another one. I'm like, get wrecked. So yeah, we got out of our champion drought, and then they slam a Viego, to which I reply with a big old Riptide Sermon, because why the hell not? You know, that's pretty juicy, puts him down to 12. Or actually, I think Riptide Sermon is glitched to where it doesn't activate with the barrels, but it does do the extra damage on the first part, but not on the second part, so that's just something to remember, guys. It doesn't do the extra Nexus damage. So here I make it so that if they don't block my GP with their Evelyn, they lose the game using that Official Axe. So I'm happy to force out that trade considering I have a lot of draw and they still have nothing. And then they top deck another champion and I'm like, wow, that is just so fun. I love it when they just top deck all their champions. That's so great. And I decided to do a silly play where I'm like, I will just Riptide Sermon and Official Axe and then kill them with my tentacles, because I think that's super hilarious way to win the game. And you see I top deck Sejuani there, and I think the optimal play is to slam Sejuani and take advantage of her level up, but instead I just want to cheese and win with the tentacle, and that is how the last of my 3 games concludes. So yeah, overall super fun Plunder deck that we played with. You know, if you need the deck code, it will be in the description below. Main key points: plan out your Plunder procs. Don't force it too hard. Like, make sure you're paying attention to what your opponent's doing. Feel free to be flexible. Look for alternative win cons like I did with that tentacle, and just have fun with the deck, because it is definitely a blast to steal your opponent's cards with your Auto Grifter and Black Market Merchant and use them against them in incredibly silly ways. So yeah, keep your mind open for all those little like Quietus Sejuani plays you can make, and yeah, until I see you again next time. Take care of yourself. Please sub to the channel. Check me out on Twitch. And peace out. Goodbye.